Ooh, sorry, guys. I love my fake Nito. Sorry. Let me put it down and focus. Hello, everyone. Um, I'm making this video because I had just finished like 2 days ago reading The Fellowship of the Ring. This is a one big large book with all six books in it, all three parts. And so this is how far I've gotten so far in the book from finishing The Fellowship of the Ring. My dad got me this book from Barnes and Noble, I believe. Yes, Barnes and Noble. A while back, and I just haven't opened it up to read it. I have read. I mean, I've watched the movies first. I watched the movies, the Lord of the Ring movie first when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I remember it because it scared the living daylights out of me. The orcs, like, that was my first horror movie. Sorry. And like, my dad's a big Lord of the Rings fan, so and he would always watch it on the TV, and I would like when I had to walk past the TV, I would like cover my face and like run past it, because the orcs were actually so scary. But now, I am older and I am obviously not that scared of the orcs anymore, and actually obsessed with the Lord of the Rings because I have seen it so many times. Sorry, I'm flipping through this book. But I think if you've watched The Lord of the Rings, you definitely should read it because it is not, super easy read, right? Good for the vocab, good for, good for like bolstering your reading list to say, "Oh, I've completed one book." Right? And I've completed the second book and the third book, like, knock them all out, knock them all out. Um but I just wanted to share my thoughts and things like that. Um, Now I knew Tolkien was a goat, but you really like because I've read my fair share of like more modern like YA books and then like more like classics or like more older books, and I will say, I mean, these authors with like older books, I mean, they stump on these modern books sometimes, and it is just so in a really bad way. Like, I'm sorry, y'all need to get it together. Yeah, because I was reading this book and like I was able to immerse so well. Like, I'm in the Fellowship of the Ring. I'm with Frodo and them. I am. I'm in there, right? And I'm just reading the pages, but I'm literally in there like swimwear. Hello. Um, One thing, like for example, one thing I'm gonna try to articulate this in a way that makes sense. So bear with me now. Bear with me. But one thing about Tolkien's writing, because I love fantasy, one thing about Tolkien's writing that I just him, Frank Herbert, and Ursula K. Le Guin do this so well is when you are writing a fantasy world or you're writing a sci-fi world or like a world that's different from ours, and you can like feel the history of the world even though you're not necessarily experiencing it firsthand. Sorry if I'm like lisping. I have my retainer in. Right. I was a braces girl at once upon a time. And my lips are looking a little dry on here. Hold on. Oh, that's better. Um, so I genuinely like the interactions between the different species of characters. So like the hobbits, the elves, dwarves, the wizards, right? Well, he's not a wizard. Well, yeah, sure. And how ancient the world is and the things that they have been through that got them to that point, and why the elves and the dwarfs are kind of contentious in that way. Um, you understand it, and you understand it's a deep history, and you understand why the beef is the beef, right? and you understand why these things are high stakes, and you understand like when a power is so evil and it that it's like permeating the soil and the roots of the land and the rock, like like you can see it in the landscape, you can see the evil and the good in the landscape, and you can understand how long an evil has been there or how long the good has been there, right? Evidenced by prosperity and greenery and good imagery, right? Something that a lot of like young adult fantasy is missing. So I read the first ACOTAR book chapters. I gave it up after chapter 29. And the reason why is because you have these the Fae that are supposed to be these ancient beings, and they all have literature iPhone face, right? Like none of them feel ancient. All of them feel feel very modern. All of them feel like a maximum of 25 years old. You know what I mean? And it's just like I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, right? But with Tolkien's gonna explain it through and through. And also too, that's what happens when you're a good writer and you can use literary devices well. He's gonna explain it and you're gonna be like, oh, like you really are thousands of years old. Oh, you really are hundreds of years old. You really are, you have your king. That right there is like the Fae didn't give ancient, and she was trying so hard to give it ancient and it wasn't giving ancient. Also too, the world just didn't feel old at all. Like it felt so modern. Like I just was like I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. um I mean, I guess that's a lot for me to expect from Agatar because it definitely is a smut focused book. So I don't know if necessarily that was like building a really sophisticated fantasy world was the main goal. So kind of makes sense in a way. Um, but the writing in this is just beautiful, and it's been a minute since I've genuinely like read a classic book with some fire, just literature, just it's literature through and through, literary devices, boom boom boom, ba ka ka ka. I recently read like Jane Eyre. That was pretty good. It was like it's nice to read some stuff that's a little more challenging in that way. I listened to Wuthering Heights. That book was crazy. Um, but Dune, I also read Dune. I will say Frank Herbert's not big on the literary, like he's not big on the la 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 the fluff in the words. Like Tolkien's gonna give it to you artistically, very very fluffy and bootsy and all that. But that makes sense. It's because it's fantasy. He's really gonna. The Dune is sci-fi, so it's a little more straightforward. But Frank Herbert is still a great writer and still just says some really profound things. You're like, boom, boom shakalaka, right? You do come out of that book like, okay, boom, like yeah, you ate that. Anyways, back on Tolkien. I just want to read this line for you because this little section right here to to explain what I mean. I have it marked. I'm an annotator. If you don't annotate in your book, that's why I buy my books because I like to. Okay, you can't do that with library books, but I still mess with the library because Wuthering Heights was a library. It was a library one. It was. Anyways, I just wanna show you guys what I mean with the passage. Context for this: I'm reading out of the book. Don't be pissed at me and be like, "Oh, you spoiled the book." Don't do that, okay? This old book, don't do it. I'm just gonna read a passage out of here, and I'm gonna show you what I mean. So, this is when I'm gonna explain it using visual instead for people if you don't know the names, for people who haven't read the book and may not know the names of like the specific places. But the Fellowship has just left like Lady Galadriel's like homeland in the woods and things like that. If you've only watched the movies, yeah, they just left. And in the book, they get attacked by orcs at night in a boat while they're in a boat. And this is after their battle, and they're kind of on edge, and they realize they have to survive the night into the dawn. And so this there's like two paragraphs where Tolkien is explaining the transition from the night to dawn. And I read this and I said, it was so tea, because I felt like I was in the boat. Let me just read it. If you hate my reading voice, I'm sorry. Okay. The night passed silently. No voice or call was heard again across the water. The travelers, huddled in their boats, felt the changing of the water. The air grew warm and very still under the great moist clouds that had floated up from the south and the distant seas. The rushing of the river over the rocks of the rapids seemed to grow louder and closer. The twigs of the trees above them began to drip. When the day came, the mood of the world about them had become soft and sad. Slowly the dawn grew to a pale light, diffused and shadowless. There was a mist on the river, and a white fog swathed the shore. The far bank could not be seen. You felt like you was on that boat, huh? You see what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we need in books. Because you felt like you were on that boat. From night to dawn to the morning. You felt like you were on... You could feel the water dripping from the leaves of the trees. You felt the air get warm. And you saw the fog. This is what I mean. 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 This is what I need out of a fantasy book. Right? And the world building is just so insane. Like, oh my gosh, Tolkien. Right, we know Tolkien's the GOAT. And on top of that, him creating a whole language, and then, let me show y'all, him writing the kind of phonetic version of that language in English, and then also writing that language out, like making it up. Hello. Let's see if you guys can see it, but down here at the bottom. Yeah, like that's super duper day. What was I about to say? Also, I think the reason why I really love the Lord of the Rings is there's a lot of music incorporated in it, and kind of, the music basically reads like poetry, and that's also what I really like about it, is it kind of cuts into the prose, which there's nothing wrong with the prose, but I do like the variety where like it's not just prose. There's like poems in the book, and not only are these poems like well written, like they're also explaining the history of the world and giving you context to the prose without having to explain out like, oh, this is what happened in this event, and just like writing it out in dialogue. It's in a song, right? And it's in a book or something that's happened, and that feels so uniquely like human. Like human beings do this, right? Like in the real world. But I'm not talking about the humans in here, but like we do that. That's how we preserve our history, through song and the things that have happened, through poetry and literature, and like him just developing the culture of the world and the culture of each being in the book. Because the dwarves have one, the hobbits have some, the elves have some, the humans have some. Like, everyone has a little song, a little poem, a little whoop-de-doo. And I love that, and I think it is so beautiful. So beautiful. This is a 5 out of 5 reading. I haven't even read all 3 books. I already knew it was going to be good. Now, do I wish I read this before I watched the movies, yes, but also my priorities weren't straight when I was 5. I should have been on this. It's okay. I should have knew better when I was 5. Anyways, I sorry, I be cracked myself up, and I'm not even up. Oh my gosh, guys! I've been showing you this bunny in my. I just be having stuff in my hands. I bought this when I was in Ireland from a stationary anime store in Dublin. It's such a cute rabbit, and I would take it out on the airplane and stare at it because it's super cute. See? And then I have my Fido here. Um, yeah, this is five out of 5, and I already know First book was a little slower, but it's like that in the movie too. I do wish I would have read the book before. On to my prior thought before I went off in different directions. I do wish I would have read the book before the movies, obviously, but I was young, and I didn't. It didn't matter when I was young. I just wanted to watch a fun movie. Because like I do know what happens. However, I do still think reading the book is worth it because the book has more stuff in it and more scenes that are not necessarily in the movie. And two, the book explains things that the movie doesn't really explain well. Because again, I think the movie was made with the idea that the audience has either that a lot of the audience knows of the Lord of the Rings, right? So there's certain things in there that aren't explained too, more as in depth, and then I feel like the book kind of covers all the ground for us. So like, if you're a person who like is watching the Lord of the Rings and doesn't understand everything, you definitely need to read the book because they explain it in here. They, as in Tolkien, explains it in here. Another just fun thing that I did while reading the book was all of the characters didn't look like the characters in the movie, which I assumed was going to happen in my brain when I read it. I was like, all the Gandalf is going to look like, what's his name, Ian McClellan? McClellan? Yeah, I think that's his name. No, he didn't. He just looked like a stereotypical old wizard. And in my mind, I feel like I characterize Gandalf to be a little more grumpy. Like he was a little grumpier than I think the Gandalf in um the movie was. Again, like how the actors are kind of picking how they want to portray their characters. I think I kind of did that but with with my own brain. I don't know why I was searching for it. Yeah, I just like characterized them myself, and so Gandalf was definitely a little meaner, in my opinion, when I was reading the book, and a little more grumpy. But that's okay. He was still fun at times. Gimli, in my head, looked actually closer to Dane from the Battle of the Five Armies in the Hobbit movie than he did Gimli in the movie. I think that's just my brain kind of getting two gingers, you know, just overlapping them like that. Frodo didn't look like Elijah Wood. Still had the blue eyes, and still had the hair. Like the hair stayed the same, but the face, like his face was a little more chiseled and a little more like his face card was insane. But Elijah Wood's face card was insane in that movie too. Like I'm not taking away any of that, but what I am saying is, in my mind, his face card was insane. So Sam looked the same, but his face was a little different. And I'm trying to figure out who I made him look like. Oh, I knew who I made him look like in my head. So back in high school, well, I was coming to high school, so I was a high school person transitioning into high school person, okay, a middle schooler transitioning into high school, and we were trying to get a new band director, and one of the directors there, I put his face onto Sam. And I don't know why I did that, but he kind of like him. I don't know. He was still blonde. And then Pippin and Mary, I think I made them a little more. I feel like Pippin and Mary, I made them a little more actually like mature than how they were in the movie, because like they would play a lot in the movie. But I think Pippin and Mary were, especially Pippin was a more felt more mature in the book, but still silly. I feel like in the movie they kind of just made Pippin and like he was like the idiot of the group, but like he really, even from the beginning, like he really wasn't. Like he just played too much, but he was very smart and clever. So that's kind of, but also to Pippin and Mary, I think physically I made them a lot like skinnier and smaller than Sam and Frodo. I don't know why I did that in my head. Aragon ended up kind of looking like, oh my gosh, there's a person I have in mind. Who is it? I don't. It's lost on me. It's lost on me. It's lost on me, bro. But he was still brunette and he still did have long hair. But I'm like, there's another actor I made. He looked like in my head, but it was not the actor in the Lord of the Rings. Dang it. I don't know why I can't think of that right now. And then Legolas had a stereotypical just Legolas was just like face card was insane. Face was chiseled, very stereotypical, kind of like any kind of like elf fan art. You know how they make them just like a stereotypical blank, sharp, sharp bridge nose. You know, like light eyes, like chiseled face on the slimmer side. Just and then his like 6'1" 3" six, his lace, and then I just did that. Um, yeah, for Legolas. So nothing serious with him. Not serious changes. I feel like Orlando Bloom kind of looked like that, very similar. But yeah, that was just also kind of how I read the book. But let me know what you guys think. I've been yapping. Hopefully, you guys can follow me, and please like and subscribe. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.